Hello, Amplify You family. Michelle Abraham here. I am bringing you another amazing expert. So today I have with me Kimberly Day. Kim is the award-winning author of Write and Go Rich, and how to use a book to supersize your brand, your business, and your bank account. Sounds amazing. Kim helps coaches, consultants, and service-based entrepreneurs overcome the daily struggle of finding their next client, stand out from the crowd in their industry, and increase visibility, credibility, and authority by publishing a book. And what's really great about Kim is that I know she comes from the background in the financial industry. She's then moved into becoming a book coach and a marketing expert, and she's here to share the same philosophies as I have about content. It's amazing. We share a lot of the same ideas and the same ways of doing things. I do it from podcasting. She does it from creating a book, and we're going to jam on that today. So Kimberly, thanks for being here with us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Michelle. I'm really excited to be here.
You're welcome. So this is an exciting topic for me because I want to write a book, but I'm a talker. So I've struggled on getting the book going. And so one, I obviously want to talk to you about writing a book and how I know you've got some ways of making that a lot easier. And two, I want our audience to know that, it's not podcasting or a book. It's both. They need to do both. And how can we do both at the same time? Or how can we leverage one with the other? So those are all the great things we're going to dive into today. But first, I want to hear a little bit about how you became a book coach and how you got your first book out of you.
Well, yeah, that's a really interesting story, which you've heard before. So for those of you who are listening, I was a financial advisor for over 13 years. And so I was always one of a dozen financial advisors at every network meeting that I would attend, along with realtors and mortgage brokers. I was in a super saturated market, competing against other financial advisors in a really saturated and skeptical environment because people just don't want to talk about their finances. And I ended up going to an amazing seminar called the World's Greatest Marketing Seminar, which is what both of us are really doing here, because it's not about a podcast and it's not about a book and it's not about an email or a blog. It's all about marketing and how you're getting that message out to your clients. But when I heard the strategy about writing a book, it just resonated and landed with me on how you can use that as an asset in your business to increase your credibility, position yourself as an expert, stand out from the crowd against everybody else doing the same thing that you're doing. And that's what hit the nail on the head for me. And so I wrote my first book, The Financial Fitness Playbook. And then everything changed. In less than 12 months, I'd literally doubled my income, and I had a whole bunch of clients coming to me instead of me having to chase them, which was so amazing. And I loved it so much, and it had such a great impact on my business that I decided to make a career shift and help other entrepreneurs be able to achieve this kind of lead generation success using this really super powerful tool. So I'm super passionate to be able to share that with other people now.
That's awesome. I love that story. It's interesting. So what do you think it is that made your book attract people to you? And where were they finding your book? Were you speaking in front of them, or were they just finding it in the bookstore? How did they find your book?
So mostly I was doing this through, speaking engagements, media and publicity. So I actually used a book coach, which, you're a podcasting coach. I'm a book coach at this point in time. And so I used somebody to help me through the process because I wanted to accelerate my results and get it done faster. And as coaches, we all know that success leaves clues. And I was on the fast track to getting it done quickly because I was done struggling with trying to find clients. So for me, using the coach was the tool to getting it done faster. And what we ended up doing was a book launch. I was using free TV, media, and radio and publicity, which of course, getting on people's podcasts is one way to also increase your exposure. We call it getting on other people's platforms. So that whole, who's down with OPP? Yeah, you know me. So it was all about getting out and creating a buzz, and just you would be surprised at how quickly the word starts to spread when people hear your energy and hear your passion, and then all of a sudden you're the expert in your space and people start wanting to work with you. It's a really magical tool if you can put it to work for yourself.
Yeah, and I think it really does a really great job of positioning you, right? Like, if I'm looking at two people to bring on to even as a podcast guest, and this person is an author, they've written a book, and this person hasn't, I probably would bring the person that's the author onto the show over that. So you're getting opportunities just because that credibility of having written a book, I think is really great too.
100%. The authority factor is a big thing. And I think to myself, even back in the days of my financial services business, I was
Mhm.
following authors all over the place. In the US, I was looking to mentors like Susie Orman and David Bach, who wrote The Automatic Millionaire. And in Canada, I was looking to Gail Vaz Oxlade and David Chilton, the wealthy barber. So these were people that I looked up to, and they were authorities and experts in my space. And of course, the common denominator between all of them is they all were published authors. So again, why the strategy kind of resonated for me.
Mhm.
But as you know, it's not always about like, it's a strategy, but it's also a tactic. So it doesn't work. You can't just think you're going to slap together a book and it's going to work to magically draw clients into your
Mhm.
space. You need to understand who your target market is, and once you understand exactly who you're trying to talk to, you're able to get really great clarity in your messaging. And in a book, the biggest clarity in your messaging starts with that title and that subtitle, the juicy bit that comes popping off the page, because we've all heard the expression, you can't judge a book by its cover. But I'll tell you right now, if you nail that and you get it done right, you can literally have that book cover pop off the shelf,
Mhm.
whether it's in a store or whether it's online virtually. It really will pop out at the people that you're trying to attract. And so it's super wonderful.
That's awesome. I love that. So now what about, I'm going to say maybe me here and others, I'm sure are the same, who we choose podcasting because it's a speech and we can talk, right? So what about people who think that podcast or podcasting, who think book writing is just a little bit like, it's sounding like a lot of work to do, like to actually sit down and write a book. Like that makes me a little bit overwhelmed, and which is probably why I haven't done it yet. I would love to do one, but just the time commitment seems like it's really huge. Is that true?
So that's a super great question, Michelle. And in fact, the three biggest objections that I get, or the three biggest fear factors, if you will, that I get when I sit down with people is that number one, it's going to be really hard. Number two, it's going to take a lot of time. And number three is it's going to take a lot of resources. And
Mhm.
I'm here to tell you that is absolutely, those are myths. Those are all limiting beliefs and stories that people tell themselves. So I can show people through my 5-step signature system how to get it done in 90 days or less. In fact, I wrote my last book in 10 days. I was able to not only write it, I was able to have it written, edited, formatted, and I had 2 boxes of books in my hands when I started on a Monday, the following Wednesday. So literally 10 days from start to finish. And for
That's
those of you
huge.
who think the whole I talk so much better than I write, I'm going
Mhm.
to tell you a little secret. Listen closely. You can actually speak your book to life.
Mhm.
And in fact, if you already have a podcast and you're listening to this right now because you are a podcaster and you're getting great tips from Michelle, if you already have a podcast, you already have content that can go into a book and be repurposed. And that's amazing. And if you just think that the idea of being able to talk some of your subject matter, you can use a voice memo recorder, you can use anything and then have all of that transcribed.
Mhm.
And it really is an easy thing to be able to do if you have the path to follow. And that's kind of where I help my clients go through that. How do you get it done? How do you get it done quickly? What are all the parts that go into your
Mhm.
book? And then how do you use that as your marketing tool? So how do you position yourself as the expert to speak more, get in front of more audiences, and get it really out into the universe to position you as the expert that you already know you are, and share your message with more impact and in a bigger way, and get your important message out there to the world.
I love that. So in the 10 days that you wrote your book, were you doing anything other than eating and writing, or was there other things in there?
I mean, it was an intense 10 days, I'm not gonna lie.
That would be ideal, 10 days, really. Let's be honest. Get it over and done with.
Right. But what I tell people is if you're already an expert in your
Mm.
space, this is the thing, is you likely have a lot of this content already sitting in your laptop right
Mhm.
now. if you've been writing blog posts or doing any kind of social media posting or writing articles or doing a podcast or, you know, teaching or already delivering
Online
a service.
courses or
Yeah, like online courses. If you've ever done a PowerPoint at a networking meeting, you can take the content from your PowerPoint and use that in your book. So you likely have all of the content you need. You just need to understand how to repackage it and repurpose it into that book content. And so when you understand kind of all of those little bits and pieces, it actually becomes quite easy to just kind of slot it all into place.
Yeah, and make it a little bit more organized, and you know how to organize all that content too, right? I mean, that's the thing. I mean, we're so lucky. We work with content creators, so they all got lots of content. That's for sure. One thing I was thinking about with the book thing is, you know, do people still do book tours?
I don't know anybody right now that does book tours. Most people, and it's funny because we're largely virtual right now just because of the whole coronavirus. But I'll give you an example. I did my last 2 book launches. I did live. So I booked a venue. One of them I had catered. One of them I brought in some food and just had people help me out. So you can do these things on a budget. But I know people that have done very, very, very successful book launches online where they invite people to a Zoom call or, you know, just get the excitement up on an online event in a private Facebook group. So there is so many ways that you can do it. There's more than one way to skin a cat, so to speak. Maybe that's not the best expression, but how about 6 of one, half a dozen of the other?
Yeah.
There's really no wrong way to do it. And I teach all of these different kind of ideas and strategies in the course. So somebody can go, you know what, that one resonates with me more than another. So there's all sorts of ways. We talk about things like as well, how to publish. So should you be doing an ebook or a printed version or print on demand, or should I do an audiobook? Imagine an audiobook. That's just like a whole bunch of podcast episodes possibly strung together. So again, there are so many options, and there is no right or wrong answer. It really depends on what your goals are, what you're trying to get the book to achieve for you. And then we work together to come up with the best strategy and get it done as quickly as possible so you can start using that as a branding and a marketing tool right away.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I was thinking about what we do when we launch podcasts is we suggest everyone gets together and goes on a pod tour of other people's podcasts. And I was thinking, hey, that'd be like actually like doing a virtual book tour. And that's would be good for people to get on podcasts after they got their book. And then that works so great. We have so many clients have like taken their podcasts and turned them into a book, or when they're in the strategy process of the podcast creation, they're looking at like the chapters, and they're looking at the table of contents for a book at the very, very beginning. So I think if you're out there right now and you're still in that thinking phase of either doing a podcast or writing a book or getting your content out there in more ways than just on a blog or in front of your client sessions, then this could be some ways that you can start thinking about doing all these things at once. If you have that strategy at the very beginning and that idea of how you can put them all together, you can come out of a few months and have a podcast. You could have a podcast and a book, and you could have a course, and you could have all that stuff. It's all the same kind of content, and I think people forget that different learning types will be listening. So if someone's hearing you auditory on a podcast, does not mean they're going to remember the same content that they're reading in your book. So Kim, do you have any, have you ever come across that before, where people are asking like, oh, should I not put the same content in my blog and my podcast as is in my book? Like, what's your thoughts on that?
I think you could probably get as many different answers for each different expert that you ask that question to, but I'm all about not making it be more work for you. So I love that idea, and what you just said, Michelle, is completely, absolutely true. It all starts with the strategy. Who's your perfect client? What's your objective? What are you trying to achieve? And then coming up with that content strategy. And then that content strategy can be used across multiple strategies or multiple tactics, if you will, or multiple platforms. So you can take that same content strategy, execute a podcast, take that same content strategy, execute a book, take that same content strategy and execute a course or a program or a teaching tool. And then you break them all down, and one chapter becomes a blog post or an article. And then within that chapter, there's little bits that become smaller posts on social media. And likewise, you could turn that content into video work. And in fact, I know that a lot of people will record their podcast, if you will, on Zoom or on another platform, capture the video component and upload it to YouTube, and then extract the audio and put it on their podcast. So I'm all about the thought process of doing the work once and then letting it speak.
Yeah, why not? We just transcribe
ways
from there and get it into a book, guys. Come on.
Right? It's like there's so many ways that you can take all of this content and then just repurpose it and repackage it. I take my book content and repackage it into smaller lead magnets that are within each of my 5 steps of my signature process, because not everybody's in the same stage sometimes of their marketing strategy. So what might resonate with one person with respect to creating a perfect client avatar or a perfect client blueprint, if you will, somebody else might be like, I already know who my perfect client is. I want to jump straight to promotion. So I'm making sure that I'm breaking out all of those things too. So it's quite magical once you start putting it all together, if you've started with a really great strategy.
Yeah, and if you have the puzzle pieces, putting them together, all together, and then having someone instruct you where to put those puzzle pieces, I think is the key. Because we can all do content, but knowing what content goes where and what order to put it in and how it's going to be best received is like a whole other thing. And I think having a coach and having someone not only for the strategy, but also for the accountability. I can't tell you how many times I've heard people say, I've been writing this book for 6 years. I'm like, oh my God, what the heck? Stop right now. Like you can do it a lot faster than that. So I think, really as, anything you do, that when you have someone that you can reach out to, like Kimberley, like book coach, go and get the right information from the right person. Not only are you going to save time, you're going to save money, and you're going to get it done a lot faster. And she's probably going to be right on your tail, making sure you actually do it. So no chickening out. I think that's a great way of like making sure that whenever I have a project that I'm like, oh, I do want to do it, but I don't know. Hiring someone to help me through it is so key.
Well, and you mentioned the word overwhelm earlier, right? Like a lot of people, that's a big thing where people feel like it's super overwhelming. They don't know where to start. So this gives you using a coach or a mentor helps give you that track to run on. It takes away a lot of the frustration. A lot of people will comment about, well, I don't know if I can afford to hire a coach. My question becomes, can you afford not to? Because how much longer is your marketing and your lead generation being stalled by not getting this piece of, or this asset built for your organization and for your business? Because the faster you get it done, the faster you can start attracting better and higher paying quality clients into your business, then the faster you recoup that investment. And then once the investment has been recouped, everything else is gravy and it's full ROI after that. So
yeah, and not only like how many opportunities are you missing out too, because you don't have a book and you're not positioned as the go-to person in your space. Do you find, Kimberley, there's certain industries that having a book works better for than others, or it's just like straight up like any industry is good, you need to have a book?
I think it's hard to say. I never want to pencil that in like, everybody, if you can breathe, you need a book, because we all know in the marketing space, if you're telling somebody it's good for everyone, then it's good for no one. But there are definitely, I think, industries that it does work a little bit better for. So if you're in an industry where there are a lot of you, so using my example as the example, when I was a financial advisor, there was always a handful at least in every meeting. So if I walk in as the published author handing out the book, people are instantly drawn to working with me versus the next guy, because I'm already have that little bit of a leg up with respect to my perceived expertise. So that's one of the biggest things. So you can think about some other really saturated markets that I think I mentioned earlier. like people that are mortgage brokers or realtors. I actually find that coaches are actually becoming a saturated market now too. So now you and I are a little bit different because you're a podcast coach. There's not a lot of podcast coaches out there.
Not yet.
So you're very niche down specifically to what type of coaching that you're doing. Myself as a book coach, I don't run into a lot of book coaches in my sphere, but business coaches on the other hand, lots of business coaches now. So if you're a business coach, how do you differentiate yourself from all the other business coaches out there and help you stand out from the crowd? So those are some of the key industries, is that if you feel like, oh my God, you're always competing, there's 2 or 3 or 4 of you in networking meetings, that might be the time when you might consider, hey, now is the time to pull the trigger and write that book.
Yeah, I think that's a great strategy. And, I was just thinking as you were talking, podcasting is all virtual. And like when we go into a meeting, we don't have anything to give to people if you're networking in person or going to speak in person. There's nothing I can't just hand out my podcast. So having a book is a really great idea for podcasters too, because then we're able to hand something out or give something out. And when we're talking or we're being invited to speak places, or when you're going in person to a networking event as well, because it's something physical that you can actually, it's nice and you can hold it in your hands. So I love that about books. And, I think I think we speak the same language, Kimberly. And I think we have the same message for people. And I think we're passionate about helping people get their messages out there. And in the best way to position yourself in whatever you're doing, and if you start with the book, and if that gets you going, then you can create a podcast from there. If you've got a podcast and that's your comfort zone, start there and then create the book from your content that you already have. And I think it's, like you said, it seems to be a lot easier than we think it is. Like podcasting is a lot easier than we actually think it is as well. And it's that fear that, and that overwhelm, that having someone by your side like Kimberly can really help you through that process. So Kimberly, where can we find out more information, how to work with you? How do you work? Love to find out more information about that.
Yeah, I love that. And I love the fact that you mentioned, that you can physically hand somebody a book. That's pretty fun if you're out in a live networking environment, which of course we'll eventually get back to, right? It's really nice to be able to hand somebody that as a gift. It's also nice that you can send it in the form of a PDF or have Amazon do all the work for you.
Or in the mail. I've gotten
awesome
tons of books in the mail from podcast guests that are coming on. They want me to have their book before they come on, which is such a cool thing. Like having a bookshelf with people I know on there is really cool.
Yeah, it's super cool. So so if somebody wanted to, if 2020 is your year that you want to up your game, you want to elevate your brand, you want to position yourself as the expert that you are, and you just want to stand out from the crowd and start attracting better, higher quality clients into your business, then for sure I'd love to encourage you to have a chat with me. I am happy to offer a free strategy session with anyone who is thinking about, well, hey, you know what, I've always wanted to do this. Is now the time? Or, you know what, I'm not really sure if a book is for me and if it would work for my business, and you just want to strategize on whether that would be a strategy that would be useful for your business. Or whether you've got just some ideas you want to bounce off. I'm super happy to have a chat, free completely, absolutely to do that. And I guarantee you'll at least leave this session with a lot of value, with some clarity around what you think you want to do, and a game plan to feel re-energized about your marketing going forward in 2020. And I'm happy to offer anybody listening, I do have a free guide, a 10-step guide to writing and publishing your very own business building, income generating book. It is it's not even a guide. It's a 20-page workbook where you can quite literally start print it off and fill stuff out and really get the nuts and bolts together, where quite literally I feel like if you went through that 20-page guide, you'd almost have a rough first draft in your hands by the end of it if you followed through with it. So happy to offer that as well. You can find me at Kimberleyday.com. Michelle, I'm assuming you're going to have some show notes and put that in there.
Yeah, I'll put that in the show notes for sure.
People often miss the E in my name, so it's KIMBERLEY.com. And you can find me on all of my social media platforms, so Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, using at the real Kim Day. And that's the
Mhm.
easiest way to find me, is mostly social media. I won't lie, my inbox and my email kind of gets buried deep and fast. So if you want to catch my eye the fastest, go connect with me on social media and send me a message through those platforms.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Kimberly, for being here today. Guys, I highly recommend, if you are going to write a book, thinking about it even, or even are like, I know I should, like me, you should definitely have a conversation with Kimberly. She won't bite. Definitely go have a conversation with her, and she's going to give you that game plan. I think that's so valuable. Thank you so much, Kimberly, for offering that to everyone. And thank you so much for being here with us today. It was fun. I'll have to come back again once I write my book, and you can tell us, I can tell you all about how that experience was working with you. In
Awesome.
my book, yeah.
Thank you so much for having me, Michelle. It was a pleasure. It's always a pleasure chatting with you. You are the absolute expert when it comes to podcasting. So it was a pleasure being on the show today.
Thank you. Awesome. All right, Amplify You family. Well, until next time, go out there, get your message heard, and we'll hope to see you again next week.